Really knows who she is.
Who are you? A friend, or perhaps a foe? A meddler with a warning.
She's the leader of an area called
It's
the
not
Net
that hard
Slums.
to imagine. Like I said, someone is always watching you.
Amidst the increasing turmoil of the world, they each had their own reasons, but together they set out to deal with the illegal
Right, a
monsters
lot of
called
this is just
data
great.
bugs.
If RPs could, if an MMO came out that was intricate enough to RP something like this, I would pick it up on the fucking spot.
I saw you received the mail I sent you. Yet, however, it's too late.
There's just nothing else like the world. I think the reason I love the Nier series is the bullshit Yoko Taro lore is because of this. There's a lot of inside lore that you have to look elsewhere to find, but a lot of it's accessible in game. Like the legend of Orca and Balmung becoming Azures. Outside of the novel's explanation, there's like a forum that tells you of that story. There's a forum post that summarizes it. There's forum posts that talk about the poem that the world is based off of.
Kite finally managed to reunite
And
with
stuff like
Ara,
that.
but
It's
immediately
just
after Kite
great.
found her, she was deleted by Skaith. Aura's data was chopped into segments and frozen in various locations around the world.
And when I got
There
to
was a
see
battle
Kite
between
and
the
Black
first
Rose
phase
show up
Skaith
in, oh
and
yeah,
Kite,
that's the
the
final
holder
that's
of
the
the
final boss
bracelet.
fight. That's what it looks like.
Kite managed to gain a difficult victory.
You have to data drain him several
but what he
times.
couldn't imagine at the time was it was just the opening battle in a long, long war.
They also did a cool thing for the data drain, because it seems overpowered, right? Like, oh, you just get an enemy to a certain point and then you send it to level 1, right? You can even use it on bosses. They had made it to where if you do it too often, you gain an infection, and if the infection gets too high, your character dies and that's game over. And the only way to make it go lower is to finish set number of fights without using the data drain, and it'll just go down over time. And this was the end of Infection, I believe. This was the last cutscene. Oh shit! Is that who I think it is?
Kite's story shall continue. But first there's the mystery of the brilliant AI programmer and creator of the world,
yeah.
Harold Hewick, and the lost epic poem.
Yeah, it was a
Epitaph
really good way,
of Twilight.
because like there's a point when you have to really
There's little
grind
doubt
some
that the
stuff with
second
it. Like
network
there's a
crisis
terrible
of
puzzle that
2010
involves
was a
the data
direct
drain,
result
where
of
every
the
time you
world.
data drain an enemy, you get
It
these
was
keys
awful.
that
It
are used for
caused
hacking the
catastrophic
gate,
damage to
the
travel,
chaos gate to get to certain
communication,
story
and
plot
healthcare
areas.
industries all over the planet.
But
What exactly
at the same
was
time, it made
that
it
caused
so
the network crisis?
you had to use it
It was the very power
smart.
that
You
was
couldn't
being
just go and use it
researched
on
at
every single
Project
enemy in a
GU.
dungeon, otherwise you would literally game over.
In other words, the network version of God. My efforts were entirely devoted to technical
game is
research
good.
and the
I like
existence
it.
of God in the world.
It makes me have good
It became a
thoughts.
story of human foolishness and a paradise abandoned by God.
Oh, fuck you, Graceless Unison, GU. Alright, and that's the first one. That Infection. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. How long is Mutation? Mutation's only 15 minutes. We can do that one. I kind of want to read up on my lore as
Using
well.
the power of the bracelet,
It's been a minute.
Kite defeated Skaith. But instead of rescuing his friend Orca from the coma, Kite's victory actually led to the birth of a new, frightening enemy, Kubia.
Kubia. Yeah. Kubia's a literal bitch. Like, you want to talk about massive enemies. Say hello to one of the final bosses of the game. Kubia. A literal abomination. Look at that nightmare fuel. Ah, dude, fuck Kubia. I remember having to fight that thing. That thing hurt. And Kubia is supposed to be like this. It's essentially supposed to be
Kubia.
the end-all creature. Like how in Norse mythology Fenrir is supposed to be the one that comes and destroys the world. That's Kubia. Kubia is the one that's supposed to come and destroy the world.
The system administrator at CC Corp viewed Kite's behavior as potentially dangerous.
And that's the admin that starts interfering. These Kite's efforts. He's like, fuck you.
I am Leos.
Kite
That's
was
your
determined to do whatever was necessary
that's the save
to save his
NPC.
friend.
That's how you're introduced to him at first. And he's also there when certain areas are glitched out. It'll be like,
Who represented average
sorry, you guys
players,
have to turn back.
and to
This
the
area is
system
unstable.
administrators,
And then you'll walk past
the ones
him
who
and ignore him.
maintain the world. The power of the bracelet was nothing more than a cheat. In other words, an illegal engine mod.
And the funny thing about this was supposed to be a threat.
But aside from
He
that,
comes out and he's like,
take immediate
stop using the
action to
bracelet,
prevent
delete
the
your character,
situation from
fuck off,
worsening.
and we'll fix this.
It requires
And then
that
Kite's
you
like,
delete your character.
I can't do that. I need to do this. And he's like, then we'll delete your character. And then he tries to do it, and he cannot delete the character.
Installation of an illegal effect.
The bracelet protects his data from being deleted, even by the system admins.
Wait a moment.
It's fucking stupid. And great.
However, Kite's character was protected by powerful defenses. And even the system administrators were unable to cancel his account.
Like, they would go in and cancel it, and it'd be like, you don't have authorization for this. And they're like, but we built the fucking game. You don't have authorization for this.
The stupid one is this pig-headed man. You don't even understand how it works, yet you'll delete it before finding that out. Or do you even possess?
And then
the
Helba
ability
literally
to
just kind of
delete
comes
it
in and is
the
like,
first
hey,
place?
how's it going?
The boy's
How you
character
guys
data
doing?
is
And they're
so
like,
well
we were
protected.
literally in the middle
The
of something.
system
I know.
administrator can't
We're
even
gonna
crack it.
go do something
In
else
spite of
now.
the fact that you developed a vaccine and disguised it as a rare item. Deleting those you cannot control is something that a pighead would do.
Thanks to some help from a hacker named Helba, Kite was able to escape surveillance by Leos.
Hold on. Wait, what do you mean that you don't?
Intrigued by Kite's powers, Helba told Kite of the relationship between Orca's coma and the Epitaph of Twilight. The Epitaph of Twilight was an epic poem that spread around the internet and inspired the creation of the world. The author, Emma Wieland, was no longer alive, and the poem fragments had been scattered all over. So the true nature of the poem was the subject of much debate among players.
It was like at one
If the
point,
design of this world
she
was
wrote this
based
poem,
upon
put it
writings in the Epitaph
online,
of Twilight,
it went
it
viral
should
in a
provide you
sense,
clue.
Forget it.
and this
Yeah, what?
programmer named
The code being
Harold
given to a system
fell in
administrator.
love with this
Were you
poem,
remotely
and in
aware
turn
that it's
fell
the
in
name
love
of the
with
King of Light that
Emma,
appears in the
and he
epitaph?
based the world off
is?
of it. And there's the first version of the world was
Following
called
the instruction of
Fragment,
Leos,
I
Kite
believe.
set out to investigate an area
And it was
infected
supposed
by
to
a
be an
virus.
homage to the Key of Twilight poem, because it was a fragment of that poem in playable form. And this is when they learn
That's
that there
it?
are more creatures out
That
there,
thing
like
is the
the first one
cause?
they killed, Skeeth. There are 8 phases of Morgana, and each one has a different name
That's where he
and
defeated
function.
the second phase,
This one's
Innis.
name is Innis.
Skaith, Innis. Yes, this was exactly the Morgana factor that we were researching at Project GU. After defeating the second
They kind of
phase,
act
Kite
as
found one of the segments Aura had been divided into and liberated it.
they kind of
Following
act
this,
as
Kite
gods,
made his way to an area Aura had told him about in an email, where he
or
encountered
messengers
Kuvia.
of death. That would be a more accurate way of stating it. Oh, that's Mistral, the best wave master. She's just kind of there. She's watching this bullshit happen, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't do this anymore."
Whoa! That story you told me was true, wasn't it?
Yes,
Y-
it was.
yeah.
At any rate, this girl, she's beautiful, but I don't know how to say this, but she's not alive.
That's the voice of a pregnant woman, folks.
Whoa! Hey! What is this?
Oh, was this the first fight with Kuvia? Yes, it was. This was how you fought him on that platform. He just kind of popped out of nowhere and was like, "Fuck you for finding out more information."
Using the bracelet's power,
And then you had
Kite
to
was
fight
able
it
to
like-
fight
like
off
that.
Kuvia for the moment. Believing that freeing Aura was the only way to solve the mysteries that had been plaguing him, Kite redoubled his efforts. It was remarkable. Kite, this lone young man, was attempting to do by himself what we, the members of Project GU, had spent countless man-hours and huge amounts of money working towards. No special knowledge, no help from anyone. With only the strength of his own convictions, this young man, this Kite, pursued the mystery of the
This
epitaph
Kite.
of Twilight. To that end, Kite contacted an information broker, someone named Wiseman.
Funny story about Wise Man. He's
From Wiseman,
he comes
Kite
back
learned about
in
the epitaph
GU,
of Twilight
but
and
he
the
doesn't
8
use the same
phases
name
of
as
the
Wise
cursed
Man.
wave.
He's considered one of the
He went
dot
to visit
hackers.
an unauthorized server called the Net Slum. This was a place within the world that wasn't part of the world.
Yeah, the Net Slum
Kind
is
of
like,
gathering place
it's
for
like a place
hackers,
of junk.
rogue
Yeah,
AI
like you said,
characters,
junk
and other
data.
types of junk data.
It's literally unstable and technically not a part of the world. It's like an area that was deleted but never was fully removed, kind of thing.
Are you looking for Helba?
Huh?
And Helba is like the queen of it. She rules over the
Yes.
Net Slum.
It so happens I briefly heard from her recently. The epitaph of Twilight. To sum it up in a nutshell, it is a tale. Or to elaborate further, it is a saga that recounts how the Age of the Spirits came to an end.
The tale of an end?
Indeed. However, the texts are scattered. Even if found, they are extremely difficult to comprehend. Yes, it'll be a very tricky business.
Say, there's something that's been bothering me. The people around here, they all look so different from anybody I've seen anywhere else.
This place was once where all of the unsuccessful non-player characters drifted, sort of a sanctuary for failures. Then players who considered them amusing